Yeah.
I missed a meeting, that's right, I wasn't at that.
I wasn't at the last
Okay, okay, but he's done with this one, okay, that's fine.
All right, everybody. We're getting started with the December 17th, 2024 LUZO advisory group.
Has
meeting.
anybody
Order
been
with
on
my
this? No?
Our official meeting.
No, I think we're saying that, right? Maybe it's time on that.
LUZO advisory committee. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do believe, so on the agenda tonight, we're talking about any committee business that we need to deal with. I have some updates on the solar ordinance. And then we can probably skip, if it's okay with whoever's here. Maybe we'll go to Kim's stuff, and then if we have time.
Katrina and I, we can make some big decisions for this town right now. It'll be like, click here, can I use this? Yes, pass.
Anywhere slog through
Yeah.
the land use table.
Okay.
Can I ask a question
Yeah,
on the statement of purpose?
sure.
In the third paragraph,
Print that.
it uses the word disposed. Ordinance changes to be considered and disposed of. Is there a better word than disposed? That just sounds like we're trashing stuff.
Yeah, probably. We can
Changes
put
to
that on a note and talk to Gail about
considered
it.
Yep, that would
Someone
just,
look up on there, the,
Under consideration.
yeah,
something,
something.
another word for
Disposed is just,
disposed.
this is trash and you're out with it.
Okay,
Not that, not. saying
Another word
disposition
for-
of
Does that mean, I mean, does it mean it's no longer current?
I don't know.
I think
Is
she
that
meant, I
like
think she meant
relinquish
that
them,
as
or-
the disposition of the,
cast out.
of the
Get rid of
wording.
Okay.
I think she's probably using it more of a legal term.
Yeah.
Right,
Probably,
But
that's my only,
The standing.
Klein,
that was my thought when I read through that.
get rid of, and I'm looking up for other words for dispose and they're all.
Do a synonym for disposition.
Okay,
Thank you.
yep. All right,
Nature
so
here,
in one of the
down there.
documents that you have, this is the one that looks like this, everybody should have a copy of that. I went through the, I have to get my glasses.
Yeah.
I made some changes to this document based on what we talked about at the last meeting. And please ignore the numbering because the formatting of the numbers got all messed up and I have to change everything. Also, I'm gonna change it to match the numbering system that's in the current ordinance, because we all have different. But what you'll see is what we ended up doing was, under the, basically the 6B23 solar energy systems. I created a second bullet, a second number that's called standards for all solar energy systems. And then under that is where I tried to put all of the solar energy systems stuff. And I brought up, from the bottom of the document in the last draft, I just brought up the standards that are actually applicable to everyone, like height and setbacks and those kinds of things. So the red language. Actually, yeah, the language that you have
All right. Over here.
is all, yeah, it's not red. So number 2 is not new language, it's just brought it up higher.
Okay.
That makes sense,
Mhm.
okay? The other thing I did was added the, under 3A. The roof mounted and building mounted solar energy systems, that there was a lot of discussion about whether or not to drop this part about the. Code enforcement officer with input from the fire chief and stuff, so I think we decided last time just to delete that. Okay. The next one is, with the, I think, probably 3C.
See?
So this is again, all ground mounted, so I added, actually, I need to delete this because I added this for, because we had some talk about setbacks, but like all of the, so this is just for the ground mounted ones, but I think if we're requiring setbacks as applicable in the section that I just brought up. To the top, this may be a little duplicative, but I think the decision was last time. We wanted to make sure these ground mounted systems were treated like structures in terms of setback. I kept the applicable, fire and safety building codes, I kept the electrician stuff. And under the visual impact, there was quite a bit of discussion about whether or not to have solar energy systems be able to be sited in front, call them front yards, even though we don't have front yards,
Mhm.
rather than just side yards. So what I was thinking about how to do this. And if you remember, at one point I had a little footnote off to the side that allowed the planning board to do that. We could do it this way, which is kind of the way that we have it in red, or in a note. As an alternative off to the side, one way to think about it might be, to the extent practical. Small scale ground mounted solar energy systems should be located to the side or rear of the principal structure to minimize visual impact from the road. If the only feasible location on the property for the solar energy system is located in front of the principal structure, measures shall be taken to screen the system from the road. So it's one way to do it without having to go to planning board for these systems, and then basically it's just kind of up to the applicant to decide, here's how we're gonna screen it.
So
Kind
you
of puts a
don't,
little bit of an issue back that you can, we didn't add any standards about what screening actually means, but that's one way to think about doing it.
so you don't wanna be able to see it like you can see everyone's satellite dish in the front yard?
Correct. Yeah, you guys weren't here.
No,
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
I was
so there was a
gone,
lot
yeah.
of discussion about, like, we should, there's a lot of situations where you kind of already know, we already know there's gonna be a bunch of situations where the side yard just isn't gonna be the best spot for it.
Mhm.
And so the idea of these, at least the smaller scale solar energy systems, is to be a little more flexible with people, cause it's a good thing theoretically to have these.
Mhm.
So do we wanna take out the requirement? So the version that I had originally done and the version that's in the model ordinances is, let's make sure they're allowed definitely on side yards. For the side of your house, but we don't want them in the front.
And the rear, but
And-
you wanna screen them on the
Yeah.
front, so you don't see them from the road.
Correct, yeah, we wanna be allowed anywhere except for the front, but there could be a way to do it in the front if you go to the planning board. That's the way it was originally set up.
Mhm.
However, I think I try to find a separate way to do that, to say, preferably you do it on the side, but if you have to do it in the front, make sure you try to screen it.
How do you enforce try?
I think it has to do with the applicant. Yeah, I like the planning board option, because then the planning board has to make a decision, not Kim,
Mhm.
but
How do you feel about that, Tracy?
That would be easy, you could say, oh, well, that looks suitable, or this just doesn't fly,
Mhm.
what makes them impede.
Yeah, I mean, if you're at the end of a dead end road and you need someone in your front yard, like that wouldn't bother, I mean.
Well, at the moment,
Me.
until the neighbors know.
Well, right, yeah, I mean, yeah,
But if
yeah.
they're there, we'll see them, they'll know it. right?
yeah.
So the policy decisions are, you just allow them everywhere.
Mhm.
Mhm.
You only allow them in side and rear yards, unless you go to planning board and get specific approval for it, or you allow them everywhere, but with some provisions that
Mhm.
you have some type of screening, although now we're getting into,
You gotta be careful too, cause
Mhm.
the whole purpose is to get sunlight. on
Well,
them.
right, yeah.
Right, that's what
I just don't know
Put
what
trees in
standards
front of them, I mean,
apply to the
Mhm.
screening. Could it be a little fence, could it be,
I mean, a picket fence isn't gonna do anything,
right?
No, it's gonna draw more attention
you
to it.
know?
yeah.
I'm not even sure, as I think I said in the question, like what, should we be adding screening standards, but that would take a little bit, I have to do some research on what those are.
You see some other municipalities that already have something, use it as a model.
Yeah,
Mm.
that's, done a lot of research on that, as it is in most of the. The ordinances on this topic are created from the same source that I'm
Mhm.
using. But
There's nothing in there about buffering, screening, if
No,
somebody wanted.
not in the model.
No.
I'll go back and look though,
I mean,
I can do some more research on that.
I mean, somebody could say, okay, I'm gonna plant one tree. How's that for
Mhm.
screening?
yeah, because everything else would block the sunlight, or, I mean, you don't know what people are gonna come up, yeah. Hmm.
Yep. All right,
Mhm.
um,
Can I ask,
yes,
if I live on Somme Sound,
Hmm.
which side of the house is the front of my house, where the driveway comes in, or is
Yeah.
the front of my house where it faces the water?
I'd say where you access your property.
yeah,
Your
I
front.
think that's the
Mhm,
way.
that's
it's
your
defined,
front.
even in
Okay.
ordinance. Another, we don't do this in here in town, but there are definitions we could create, like here's your front yard, here's your side yard, here's your rear yard, like there's a way to
Mm.
describe all that, it just, it's not the way we've done
Mhm.
No?
it. The next one, for this one, it's highlighted in yellow because I originally had application standard, there's separate application requirements for medium scale solar energy systems. Originally had that located in a different spot, but I brought it down underneath the standards for this one. So it's not new. The things that did change at the last meeting was, I think the suggestion was delete under, 3, Roman numeral 3. The term, the requirement for any potential shading from nearby structures when it comes to this, and then also deleting the last. Coming up with an outreach plan.
Mhm.
Then the next one I had, when I said why, ground mounted facilities shall minimize mowing to the extent practical.
Why?
I think there's an environmental reason for that,
Mhm.
and probably a habitat reason for that. And I think that's probably why it's there, but I don't expect you guys to answer that question. I just put that in there for me because I want to find out the answer. The model was written by Maine Audubon, so I think that I'm pretty.
Well, maybe
sure
when you
They're
mow, it
thinking
kicks up
big.
stuff, maybe, I
It
mean,
was like pollination, there's.
yeah, yeah.
You know, habitat that you could
Mhm.
have
Hmm.
in these areas, but probably a habitat reason for it.
But they're thinking of a big solar array, not just like one rack of panels.
Right, well, a
Probably.
medium scale
Mhm.
solar energy system is a pretty decent sized system.
Mhm.
You don't allow large scale, that's why I deleted all the large scale language out of here.
Mhm. Mhm.
I took out the removal of mature trees, that thing though. On suggestion. On page 5, the other thing we're trying to figure out, like, what's the right process for removal of these? And so similar to what we did with kind of the other ones, there's a removal section that's gonna deal with all systems.
Mhm.
And then there's gonna be like, here's what you need to do specifically if you're a medium scale. And then the abandonment one probably has to be something similar, but I'm looking at that one a little bit more. And the definitions haven't changed. And that's where we are.
Mhm.
And I have sent this to Refinement Drive. I haven't gotten any comments back from him.
Mhm.
I'll follow up with them again.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's where we are with that.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
That was easy.
questions?
Mhm. Mhm.
Hearing none. Would you like to skip to the other LUZO amendments as needed part, and then Kim, maybe we can talk about your stuff?
Mhm.
Okay. Whenever you're ready.
Okay. Okay, so section 6B11, which is lots. And then under 6B11.3, which is requirements for lots that are wholly outside the shoreline zone,
Mhm.
which have to do with accessory dwelling units. Currently, the language reads, for any existing or new lot with a residential dwelling, for any existing or new lot with a residential dwelling, one family that is wholly outside the shoreline zone, one accessory residential dwelling unit is allowed per lot without an increase in the minimum lot area requirement. I brought this to Noel's attention because I have a question where somebody has torn down their single-family dwelling house. And now they wanna build another house and an accessory residential dwelling unit. But this language
Mhm.
states that for an existing or new lot with a dwelling, one family, to me, that means you have to have a one-family dwelling on the property to have an accessory, the way it's worded.
Mhm.
I know what the intent is,
Are you saying they wanna build both at the same time?
yeah.
Mm.
They tore down their house because
Yeah.
it's dilapidated.
Right,
And in the meantime, they wanna build a new house and do an attachment with a
Mm,
garage
gotcha,
with the
yeah.
accessory dwelling above it.
yeah, I mean,
But they've taken down their house.
it doesn't bother me that they do, I mean,
It's just the way it's worded.
right, yeah,
But
To me,
it's gonna be a new,
saying
right?
that-
It's
Huh?
gonna, it's gonna be a new, oh, it's a new
It's a
lot.
lot, yeah. Do you see
mm,
my confusion
mhm,
Mhm.
and concern if somebody were to fly and then the neighbor all of a sudden says, well,
Says-
the house was torn down?
But you would know that anyway, because they should have gotten a demolition permit, right?
Oh, yeah,
mhm,
but I don't notify the butters, but if you have a butter that sees that and just
Mhm.
say they hire an attorney, that seems to be the
oh, yeah,
going rate today.
These
Everybody's
butters.
hiring an
yeah,
attorney.
yeah. That seems to be, yeah, in town quite a bit, yeah, okay,
Do you think it needs to be reworded, or do you think it's just, okay, you know, there was a house there, they got a right to have another house,
that's, yeah,
you know,
I mean-
provided it meets all setbacks
Right,
and what have you,
right,
but then
right.
also they wanna do an accessory, but also the new house, I gotta make sure the accessory is 75% or less of the principal building.
And you know that from the plans.
I'll know that from the plans,
yeah, I mean,
but I just think the way it's worded
needs to be
makes
clearer.
it sound like you have to have a one-family dwelling on the property to be able to have an accessory.
Um,
Thoughts?
I
change the
don't read it that
wording.
way.
Huh?
I don't read it that way.
You know?
An accessory building is allowed. Wow,
I know.
A new lot with a resident.
With a residential
Wholly
dwelling, one
outside.
family. With a, so it's just saying that you can have
I mean-
any existing or new lot with a residential dwelling, one family that is wholly outside. With a, see, I'm stuck with to me, that's saying it needs to be there.
If you get a
With
building permit
a, yeah, I mean,
that
with
includes
a,
a primary residential dwelling unit and an accessory residential dwelling unit at the same time, like that's evidence that you're gonna have a dwelling. a
One
primary-
family and an accessory.
Yep.
and it doesn't matter which one you build first.
Well, I think
Yeah, it does.
probably does.
You have to have the one family first,
Oh, I thought we said,
because it's, if you build the accessory, it's not accessory to anything, because nothing else is there.
Yeah,
oh, so
then-
no one can
then
build a
you-
garage apartment and then build a house?
afterwards.
Is it your accessory,
can.
the accessory?
You can.
You can.
Yeah.
And that would be your,
We go to planning board or what, or,
no,
right, or no,
that would be
okay,
your one family, that would be your primary dwelling unit.
Then
And then
you
if
could-
somebody wanted an accessory, sorry, no,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
and say the house is 20 by 20, 400 square feet,
right,
they can
okay,
apply for a house, an accessory that's under
yeah.
75% of that.
can't they
No,
switch it
unless-
around though? I thought we said that you could switch it around, that you could build your smaller house first and then you could balloon to your bigger house.
Yes,
Doesn't matter which one you build first,
I think
as
that's
long
what
as
I
there's
did.
a 75% difference, right?
Well, yeah, because at that point,
Mhm.
your principal building, you just gotta make sure that the garage of the apartment
Right,
is gonna be under 75% of the living area of the building that's being.
Right.
proposed.
Right,
And at that
yeah,
point, that would be the
right.
principal,
and
The
then that
apartment.
would be the
Right, they switch.
accessory, yeah, I mean, right,
right?
I
yes,
think so, yeah,
that's right. It's the living area of the apartment above the
Right.
garage needs to be
It's the interior walls,
75% or less.
Or less, yeah.
of the
Right,
building. that
of
you're
the
building.
principal building that's being built.
Yes,
Mhm.
And then at that point, that's the principal and the
Mhm.
garage apartment's the accessory.
yes.
Mhm.
My
So I
question-
guess it's, I mean,
Just don't know how to make it more clear.
I don't either.
no, I was gonna say, I don't know what else
Because
to,
what you're saying is an
Is-
accessory
yeah.
dwelling unit is allowed per lot without an increase in the minimum lot area requirement.
right,
Doesn't say which came first.
no.
Well, by nature, by definition, if you only have one dwelling unit, it is your primary.
It is.
dwelling unit.
Yeah, cause you should be
So
living,
the
yeah,
only difference is, if you're adding a second, everybody gets an accessory dwelling unit.
Mhm.
And if you add it, it doesn't matter when if you add that first, and so Stephanie's example of I'm gonna build my garage.
yeah, cause that's what we did,
Then
yeah,
you just come in and make sure that the
Yeah.
dimensional standards are.
Right.
Basically the reverse of
Right,
that,
yes,
right.
and so the timing doesn't really matter.
right. So
So
I
you're
guess,
okay then, or this
Yeah, I
language?
mean-
See, it's gray to me, that's why
Yeah.
I'm.
And I think where, part of the reason why it's also written like that is that if you have already a property with a dwelling unit on it, you're allowed another one, an
Mhm.
accessory one. And that's what it's, partially what it's addressing to.
But you can also
If you do,
if you have a lot that meets dimensional requirements to have two dwelling units on it, you're not.
Yep.
Limited, it's not accessory,
Then I think you're saying, well, that's not accessory, it meets all these other standards.
yeah, but does that mean they get an accessory?
I don't think it means that you get more than one accessory. Didn't we address that somewhere?
Yeah, I think we said one per lot, didn't we, somewhere in the ordinance?
So Kim, you've had this problem come up then, is that what you're,
No,
Or
well, yeah.
in a,
I have.
an area, okay,
if you turned accessory into additional, would it work? One additional residential dwelling unit is allowed per lot. And you didn't call it an accessory building, you called it an additional.
I think of accessory as,
Smaller,
no, I think of it as connected to the house. And don't,
but it doesn't have.
right, it doesn't have to be anymore, it did when we did it, right, it did when we did it, that's why I was thinking, right.
What did you just?
So make the word accessory additional. Replace accessory with additional. It's not a pocketbook.
I don't think you wanna do that, cause then you're kind of getting in a situation where you could have two full dwelling units on a lot.
Full
If you're in
houses.
1 acre zone, you have 2 acres, you can put two houses on your lot. Like the point of the
Mhm.
accessory is to say, if you have a non-conforming lot,
Or even for a lot that just has the 1 acre and your 1
Yeah.
acre zoning.
yeah, totally conforming or non-conforming or whatever, every single parcel, residential parcel in town, by law, is
Mhm.
we're allowed to have an accessory.
Yeah, it says one accessory residential dwelling unit is
Yeah.
allowed
The only one,
Mhm.
per lot, but if you have the scenario, two houses.
that's, then you split your lot and you call it good. Then you can have 4 units.
But if you don't split your lot, you can only have one
You only
additional.
get one.
Yeah.
The way we talked about it, and that's the way it should work.
Okay. But it wouldn't be accessory if it meets all the zoning, it
Correct.
wouldn't be subjected to the 75%. Because it's not accessory, it's two dwelling units on a lot, but then you don't get the accessory, because that second one is considered your accessory.
Yep, then you might be able to have, in that scenario, you might be able to have an accessory dwelling unit and 2 primary dwelling units, yes.
You just said no, though, that's why.
Well, I was confused, I thought you meant 1 per dwelling unit, like if I had.
No, like
Yeah,
say I
I
have
think you
2
might-
acre lot,
Yep.
and I put up 2 houses.
Yes,
Am I allowed an accessory residential dwelling unit
I
too?
think so,
Because I meet the zoning,
yeah,
But you only have one because it's one per lot.
right.
no.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
thought we
I could only
split- we
have one,
split.
so I'd have.
Unless the
I'd have
lot's split.
Two principal buildings and an accessory dwelling unit.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, I think
Mhm.
that's true.
Hmm.
Then I would ask why, the whole point is to allow more flexible,
Yeah.
like gentle density.
Yeah.
and that's a way
Right.
to do it.
Mhm.
I mean, the 75% number,
Yeah.
you know, that's the thing we should be focusing on. And also the other thing we should be focusing on is if you're gonna allow all this, you know, extra density, like the accessory dwelling unit isn't, like the law wasn't really passed just to allow everybody to say, yeah, we're gonna build a bunch of these things and then just rent them out by the week. Like that really-
That's happening though,
I
unfortunately.
know.
Well, right, it
Well,
already,
Because we
yeah,
talk about it and nobody wants to actually put that.
So does, if
Right.
I do two
Mm.
dwellings and then I do an accessory, is that a subdivision by dwelling units?
Probably.
Hmm.
I think it would be actually.
Hmm.
Yep.
I agree.
So then you wouldn't be like,
Mhm.
nobody, everybody's gonna be like, we're not doing that.
Wait 5 years.
Yes.
Well, they have to divide their land and then they can do it, and then it's not a
then
subdivision.
they could, right? They had two separate
You
lots,
could split the lot.
couldn't
Yeah.
split the lot.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of scenarios on how to do that.
You know, I do think about this a lot and I
Mhm.
wonder like. The point of this is to allow more, it's to force towns to actually allow, to require more density or allow more density.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
I think. What's the bad thing about that?
Nothing, as long as you don't wanna crowd neighborhoods with,
Mm.
buildings and, I mean,
But I think you're not crowding the neighbor, if you're trying to think about it from a land use perspective, it isn't.
Mhm.
That if you're in a 5 acre zone and you wanna do, and say you have 10 acres and you wanna do 2 houses and an extra dwelling unit, like that's
Mhm.
density.
that's
that-
different though, I think,
Well-
maybe.
But if you're in a,
Because if you're in a small neighborhood, that's a lot of traffic coming and going, especially if it's gonna be rentals and.
some of that is subdivision, you know, easement, not easement, but homeowners association and deed restrictions. Size of the road, I get it, but
Mhm. I guess it depends where in Mount Desert you're talking to, in a way, I mean,
I think.
Pretty
the other-
much.
Well,
could
it's
have
anywhere-
way more
anywhere away from the
houses.
shoreline.
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah,
the other part
yeah,
of the law is
true.
to say, you people in,
You
you
people.
residents.
Yeah, you
No,
people.
you residents in this area that
Mhm.
are like, higher end neighborhoods are trying to keep out, you
Mm.
know, some things.
Oh, not in
that
my
you can't-
backyard?
Oh, yeah,
We're forcing
yeah.
you to do
Yeah.
the thing. What's that?
Not in my
Not in my
backyard.
backyard,
Exactly.
yeah.
We're forcing the town to require more, allow more density. Like it's the reason why it came down from on high is because
Mhm.
there's single family zoning that is restricted.
Mhm.
If you think, cause you know what, my house that we built in the back of our lot, so we couldn't build, I mean, so it doesn't mean we could sit there and put another house in the front of the,
If you have enough lot area. you
well,
can-
right, I don't think, but I'm just, yeah.
Yeah.
So, But,
But you could do that before we even added that in here, you know,
if we had enough car,
Yeah.
yeah.
lot area
Mhm.
and setbacks.
So did we not help you, Ken?
I don't,
I don't know.
I can see
No.
where you're reading it, where I completely understand.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
Where this is gonna go, but I also am trying to figure out where.
I don't know how to word
Revise
it
it.
either, honestly,
And
but
I
I
think-
just, the way it's written just says to me. That it has to, you have to have a one family there to have an accessory.
Mhm.
But I guess the point is, even if you didn't.
Mm.
And the scenario was, we can only afford to build the smaller unit first, you can still get a building permit.
No, I
first.
don't disagree with that, I'm just, I guess somebody that's applying for the main building and the accessory at the same time.
Right.
I think the end result,
And there's no one family there right now.
Right.
That's all.
I think the
that's just
end
my-
result is the same as what you would do if you.
I'll just wait, I guess, until I get appealed for,
Well, can you just give them a certificate of occupancy for one on one day and a certificate of
Mhm.
if they put
occupancy?
them on, oh, yeah, but I mean, if they put them on the same permit, then. I can't issue this occupancy until both buildings are complete,
Mm.
So they'd be better off asking for 2 permits?
Mm.
depends.
Mhm.
Are they
Sometimes
connected?
people, yeah, sometimes
Mm.
people wanna,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
do one
Mm.
permit.
Mhm.
And I'm like, well, you realize, I
Mhm.
mean, I could always give a temporary too,
Right,
as long as the other, one,
Mhm.
there's no safety concern or anything,
Mhm.
but it just.
Mm.
I always say separate permits for separate buildings,
Yeah,
Mhm.
I don't know why you wouldn't do that,
and a lot of people don't,
just because they don't wanna pay.
I don't know why,
It's the same
honestly,
price.
maybe they don't wanna come back,
Mm.
You could,
Yeah,
or, I don't know.
who knows, yeah.
I actually think the application form is really geared toward one structure per.
You think, yeah,
but is it one structure if it's connected?
Mm.
no, it's one building
Mhm.
that's connected.
So the people that just are, who are looking at doing this, are they in a dense area? Are there a lot of people around? Are they trying to squeeze something or is it pretty? I mean, not that it
It's a
matters, but I'm
substandard
just,
lot. It's a small lot.
small. I'm just thinking,
No, I mean.
I'm thinking about the people around them that may
Yeah.
get mad. Are they
No,
close
I
enough
don't-
to other, not
Yeah,
necessarily?
they're close.
Oh,
to everyone
okay.
else.
Oh.
But the policy objective is exactly the same.
mhm.
Doesn't matter if you fill out one building
Like, or
permit.
do the
build
house
all at the same
first and
time.
then
wait.
The whole point, and the end result is the policy, is what you're going for.
Yeah,
Right.
and a lot of people
Right.
too, they want, because you got the contractors there,
Yes,
Right,
get
yeah.
it, you're right,
get it done.
get it done.
Don't have them have to come back and rip up the yard because they wanna put up the.
Right.
building,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
at the end of the day, what's gonna happen is exactly.
Okay,
what
then
that
we can
policy-
just cross that off, I'll keep dealing. All right,
We'll
move
find
on.
a better way,
Yeah.
I'll think about it if there's. a
I
better
know,
way.
I was thinking, no. Okay, so 7.5 procedures for administering permits. We added this certificate of occupancy language to our ordinance last year
Mhm.
because we no longer have a building code that meets the state MUBEC requirements.
Mhm.
So
7.5.
756, procedures for administrative permit, fixes specific occupancies. I highlighted in parentheses, permitted after March 3rd of 98. The reason why I added that is because that's when certificate of occupancies came in compliance in the building code for the town of Mount Desert. So any buildings permitted prior to March 3rd of 1998 did not require an occupancy.
Hmm.
And so anything after that does, and that's how it's all been enforced since I've been here.
Okay.
So I think we need to add that because this, the way it's worded, and I ran this by Andy, is that this is saying any structure at any point that's been issued down Mount Desert would require an occupancy. So I'd have to go back to buildings that
Hundreds of years
predated
or whatever, yeah.
98 and
No.
say,
Yeah.
you know, because there was a building code
Mhm.
in effect in
Yeah.
the 70s.
Hmm.
And I don't wanna do that.
God, no.
So I
no,
have to add
That would
that
be
date,
crazy.
Where
Yeah,
is it, Kim? Under 6?
Um,
7.5.6.
Yep.
So what I did is I added in parentheses,
mhm.
after no structures or portion of a structure, I put parentheses permitted after March 3rd, 1998, that is regulated by the ordinance may be occupied without a certificate of occupancy. So that's keeping in compliance and consistent with what I've been doing since I started here. Excuse me, started here. Initially in 2000, so
Mhm.
that's how it's been. So anybody that's called me, lawyers or people saying, geez, do I have an occupancy? I said, well, let me look to see when your house was built.
Uh-huh.
If it
Yeah.
was 66, I'll say they didn't require an occupancy at that time.
Okay, that's easy.
Yeah.
Did Andy say to do it in parentheses or? Kim?
Well, no, he just said add the language. Yeah.
If we like no structure or portion of a structure, comma, permitted after many.
Yeah, or whatever. I mean, I just added that so that
Yeah.
could be a nice discussion.
Got it.
Makes sense.
Yeah, that's it. That's it, yeah.
Easy, I love these.
That was yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one. And then the other one is the mobile homes, which I haven't got a copy of it myself.
You want this?
Yeah. So Janet Mills back in March of this year
Mhm.
added legislation that ideally allows any year mobile home now to be permitted on properties where currently you're allowed to have a single family dwelling.
Mhm.
We have an ordinance that was adopted and enacted in 1970, which states that mobile homes and home parks at that time, no person, let's see, where is it? Doo-doo-doo. States like mobile homes. Sorry, are not permitted unless they're in a mobile home park.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so in order to adopt what Janet
Mhm.
has ideally done is to do away with this ordinance.
So it's this warrant that's double column that you're talking about, right?
This one. Yeah, there's this one and then
Double.
this was like on the warrant. I think this was the explanation of the ordinance. And this
Okay.
was the, ordinance that was, warrant that was proposed.
Mhm,
Mhm.
mhm.
So Kim, is this ordinance,
Is that rain? Oh, no.
No.
Sorry, go ahead, no.
what is the ordinance,
Mhm.
we have a copy of the ordinance, right? We could just say, you know. we'll
This
get
is
a-
it.
This is it right here.
This is, yeah, this was
We need to like
Wow,
type
is
it.
it-
this carried, yeah. Yeah, 'cause this is 1970.
That's it?
It's adopted, yes.
There's no,
You see, it says carried.
Yeah.
Underneath, it means it was voted and it went forward, it was approved.
1970.
But where's the ordinance?
Right here.
This
Oh,
is-
that's Janet Mills's?
No, no. this
Oh,
is
oh,
what
I
the
was gonna
town
say,
adopted.
okay,
Oh,
So you got
basically it's to be scrapped.
John Jordan, John Fernald, Robert Graves,
Mhm,
Town of Mount Desert, Selectmen.
yeah,
Mhm,
so it's
yeah.
this one that's
It
goes to section
says,
9.
this was the warrant article that I found at annual town meeting,
mhm,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was Article 58, it was carried. And then this was the language
that went with it.
that was adopted.
Mhm, mhm.
Right here, so it says, no person may maintain and occupy a mobile home or a house trailer in the town of Mount Desert except in a duly licensed mobile home and or house trailer park. So they're just saying that only mobile homes
Right.
are allowed in trailer parks.
right,
And so now Janet Mills is saying now with this
Mhm.
legislation, she wants them wherever any single family dwelling is allowed.
Wow, that'll be interesting. Mhm. I mean, I understand it's more affordable housing, I mean, I understand that end of it, but,
It is, but it worries me about like older ones,
yeah. Mhm,
you know, people bringing in.
yep,
Have you talked to? Maybe we
I
could-
did talk to Andy.
But
oh,
my question would be, can the town say? Allow mobile homes?
yeah, can we say just
Because
not,
I do think it's important. And it's a really good
right,
option for affordability,
Mhm.
but make the date. Like, can you pick a date?
Well, her thing went into effect 90 days, so it went into effect in July.
oh,
So
Or
this
can we
is,
pick a date for like,
Mm.
what's an old?
give me
mobile
a
home?
year on it.
yeah.
oh, yeah, can
homes-
we, like, nothing
built-
older, yeah. They have to be
After-
1985 or newer, or-
I don't know, I'll have to ask Andy, but I don't know if we could set a date on that.
Because some of them that are in use in Hancock County
Are
are ancient.
very,
And
very
then they
old.
have, and then some of them even have, like
Mhm.
the original siding and stuff is gone.
Yes,
And
yes,
People have put new facings on them, and
yeah.
like the serial number's gone,
Mhm,
you can't tell what the year was, it was somewhere in the like
yeah.
50,
Yeah.
50s. And
Mhm.
they've reconstructed around it.
So many times, what, it's just
Well,
so old.
Cause I've had to, work on how do I convey this, how do I describe it, what the heck,
Right.
and it's like with the land going and then
Hmm.
mobile homes, another,
Mm,
there's some really old ones and people are living in them.
Yeah,
yeah,
Well, and this says
Mm.
in this, HP 211, in part D, it says regardless of the date of the manufacture.
oh,
never mind.
then never mind,
That's a good question.
I guess.
Doesn't really matter.
Mm.
You can apply design standards, but we don't have any.
Mm. So this says those units constructed after June 15th, 1976, commonly called newer mobile homes, which the manufacturers are.
Mine,
Plans to unite
this
these
was
for
adopted in
housing.
70.
So
No.
what is,
This is on the back of the new one.
Oh, sorry.
Flip
Oh,
side,
you're
top
doing
paragraph.
this must
All right,
be
Right
what's
there,
older?
it's the same.
Okay.
Kim, is this old or new, this one? Where it's, this one, where it says in 1976, so is that old or new?
This definition?
Yeah, manufactured homes or housing, that's the old definition of constructed after
I
June
think that's our
15th,
new, that's our new one that we just,
that's what we just,
I think we just adopted that one.
cause that says
Let me look at it.
1976.
Let me look at it. We just changed
But that wasn't Janet
Yeah,
Mills, that
no,
was
this-
northeast or
Yeah,
Mountain
no,
Verde.
this is what,
Well, and
this was the definition.
For
But
Mount
we-
Desert,
yeah.
or, okay, okay.
and this is saying that you
Hmm.
can't even, prevent one.
Yeah,
Failure of a unit to have been manufactured in accordance with the National Manufactured Home Construction and Safety Acts of 74.
Yeah,
So it doesn't really matter. You can pitch a 10 according to Janet Mills and you're good to go, as long as you call it a manufactured home.
Mm. Mm.
Right?
no.
Well,
we're not doing that.
but,
it looks like you don't have an opportunity to say no to anything.
I mean, it's gonna be tricky, not tricky, but it's gonna be, so this is her new ordinance, okay.
Currently, older mobile homes do not meet the definition of manufactured homes above are not permitted.
Where are you reading that?
Yeah, where do you see, what's,
On this Kim's email.
oh, that's the one I was just
Yeah.
asking, but that's the, what we used to have.
That's our definition. That's
Yeah,
not Janet
that's what
Mills.
I was just asking too, I was like, oh, well, no, that's Janet Mills is this one,
Yeah,
not
way
the,
broader.
yeah.
Yeah, so now our definition, I think this, sorry, we changed it,
Okay, design requirements
passed
are
down
not
here.
used to prevent the
which
relocation
says
of
a
any.
structural unit or unit designed to be used as a dwelling or dwelling and constructed in a manufacturing facility and then transported by the use of its own chassis or placement on an independent chassis to a building site. The term includes any type of building that is constructed at the manufacturing facility and then transported to a building site where it is utilized for housing, and that may be purchased, sold, offered for sale, or brokered by licensee in the interim. That's what our definition is now.
That's,
This is what it used to
The
say.
design requirements are
That's the
not used to prevent the relocation of any.
so the two steps in this process.
That
one
is
repeal,
legally cited within the municipality, so what's that mean?
Yeah.
and then one is to go through the LUZO,
Yeah.
like you've already done here. where
You
look
can't
at the
prevent
thing
the
and
relocation,
say,
so anyways,
you
you
need to
have
make
your,
these
you
things
have your
start
trailer
going
on
Yeah.
your property.
Yeah.
And then it's on my property,
Like
Right.
this.
you can move it to my property.
That, so they're not talking about the home, they're just,
Uh-huh.
they're just cited within.
Right,
the-
right in this
Yeah.
where-
Okay.
where it's
Now,
placed.
Get it down.
Well, and you can't,
I
you could
mean-
be less restrictive. I'm not sure how
I
you
know.
be less
I know.
restrictive,
Yeah, I'm not sure, yeah,
but you can't be more restrictive.
right. I guess it is what it is,
So you have, so this needs to be modified.
do you just do word for word what she did? Just
I-
scrap
we'll
the
cut
old
the
and you
tape
have
off,
to,
cut, paste, yeah.
Yeah.
Cause section 6B14, which is mobile home in parentheses temporary, campers, trailers, and recreational vehicles. It says no temporary or older mobile home, camper, trailer, or other recreational vehicles shall be used for human habitation unless it is in a campground or a trailer park, similar to what this
Mhm,
says 1970 says.
mhm.
Which has been established in accordance with the provision of this ordinance, so we gotta modify 6B14.
Mhm.
But typically these,
Yeah.
like prefabs are not, they're modular homes.
Yeah.
But typically these temporary ones are intended to be used temporarily while a house is either under construction or is being built, but only for 90 days.
Right,
But nobody ever pulls in an older mobile home, it's usually RV. and-
Right.
yes, I've
A
seen that
camper.
too, a
Right,
camper.
yeah.
Mhm.
Can I just ask, is it only 90 days per calendar year?
No, just says only for 90 days. Period. Not calendar year.
And this legislation has gone into effect, yes?
Yeah,
Yeah.
went into effect July.
So who wrote this on the bottom? Was this Andy? Dear Kim, I'm skeptical that the mobile home and
No,
trailer,
this is Maine municipal.
oh, okay. I was trying to make
She
that.
says, however, if this
repealed.
town did not repeal the mobile home and trailer ordinance and it's currently in effect, then it is likely
Mhm.
that the rule in section 290 would apply. which requires a more restrictive provision of conflicting ordinances to control. Determine the mobile home park ordinance is currently in effect, which I haven't seen it repealed.
right,
I strongly recommend
Yeah.
that it be repealed and amended as soon as possible.
yeah.
Well,
Not
no,
only would it be difficult to,
That's right,
I must have
okay,
gone off the other section.
that's okay. Well, I don't really know, we are, kind of, our hands are tied, aren't they?
So what's the purpose of 6B14?
It still allows somebody to temporarily put, I've never seen, like I said, a camper,
Mhm.
yeah, a mobile home to, while somebody's house is under construction or they're
Mhm.
renovating it.
There was just
and they
one
wanna stay on
on,
their property.
there was just one on, yeah, on Sergeant's Drive, that new house, there was a camper there
Yeah,
all summer, yeah.
Yeah,
what do you do about construction trailers that are the offices? You know how they,
It's like a great big
I don't issue
mansion.
a permit for them
okay,
Mhm.
because they're on site, they're job trailers
Mhm.
for, them to have their temporary offices.
Mhm.
So they don't have to go off premise to,
Yeah, don't the Colquitt's new
You
house, I
know.
think there's one
Mhm.
sitting there.
yeah, it's been there more than 90 days.
Oh, yeah.
That house is
Okay.
taking forever to build, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely there, probably. Yeah,
I don't think if you've ever been in a jog trailer, they're not designed for habitation.
no,
at all.
I would think not. If you're living there, it's pretty, yeah, I can't,
You're going somewhere else to the bathroom most of the
yeah,
time.
yeah,
Oh, yeah, no, I understand.
yeah.
Yeah, no, but I've never really even
Mhm.
thought about that, saying, hey, you need to move your trailer,
No,
it's there for the job site.
not like that, but what house can be built in 90 days?
Well, yeah, I know.
I mean,
Modulars,
that's,
they
yeah,
come
I
in
guess,
pretty
yeah.
much
But I think
quick
the main
Uh-huh.
point is that you don't want people to use a camp, you don't want it to all of a sudden
reside
have a
in it.
camper
Mhm.
or
Yeah,
recreational vehicle be their primary dwelling unit.
yeah, it's also in the definition
Mhm.
Mhm.
of a one family, that recreational vehicles. are not
Even while they're building,
dwellings. Huh?
even while they're building?
No,
minor
Oh.
buildings.
No,
Okay,
just the definition says that
Hmm.
recreational vehicles are not intended to be used as residential dwellings.
I'm just thinking we might wanna
Mhm.
rename that 6B14 to something, temporary, you know. Residential, whatever, and then just,
I'm not sure why
Like
it's
kind of
even in
reword it.
there, but that's beside the point.
do what,
I'm not
Mhm.
sure why it's even in there, cause it conflicts
Mhm.
with another section.
so we could delete
Of
it,
the modular home. I mean,
I almost think you wanted to delete it, but.
well, I don't know, because sometimes, I see RVs,
yeah, that one on
Hot
Sergeant's Drive at the
properties.
top.
but there's no intention
Sergeant's
somebody
Drive, but-
living in it, and they just wanna finish their house and
Mhm.
be on site and
Yeah,
do stuff that they can do without a contractor, like
Mhm.
paint and do
Right.
easy stuff,
well, you never know if you've moved across country, who know, I don't know, yeah.
Yeah, I guess what I'm suggesting is that's a good provision. And sometimes you need that in the ordinance, because somebody's gonna be doing that, and then somebody's gonna call and be like, this person's living in their mobile home. And it's good to be able to get that, to allow that. And we may wanna
How about we
just,
just have a big
change it.
banner entering town, just mind your own business, no. I'm just That might help, no.
Change the head,
Uh,
and then reword some stuff, because we shouldn't be using mobile home.
take out mobile home camper, or mobile homes out of
Just
that,
use, maybe it's
Mhm.
like.
use like RV.
trailer.
Travel trailer.
RV, yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
for temporary use, intended for only temporary. use,
Yeah.
not
yeah,
permanent.
maybe that's the, yeah, that might be the takeaway.
And then,
I-
and then 1612 would be something more compliant with the law.
50-12 would be like stick built. That's just saying manufactured homes are allowed.
So we don't need to change that.
I don't even know if we have to have that, honestly.
I think
because-
it's
Do you know
confusing.
people?
Well, I was gonna say, what's it matter if
Does
it's stick
it
built or
in general?
manufactured or modular?
It does.
I think we should take it
But
out.
then again,
Yeah.
there's a lot of rural property, pretty marsh and out there, I don't,
Johnson's gonna.
oh,
Just use-
I don't know what it's in there for, I don't know if there was an ordinance or something in the law. that said
I mean, you get out there, pretty
Some
marsh, and
ordinances
I
you-
guess you could,
You can't.
I don't know, I've never thought about, the only place I ever think where there are any is in Soamesville,
care.
but actually, there's none left there.
No.
No,
You don't say
and
that.
then in Otter Creek, but is that considered Bar Harbor? And
I don't
It
think
is
so.
it is not,
Yeah.
okay, guess that's the only place I ever,
Back when they first came out, bringing
yeah, none other.
manufactured homes.
And
in.
Yeah,
then
they
when you
thought
enter
they were
Southwest,
like-
right there,
Trailers.
next to Milagros,
Really?
someone put one, I always thought that was odd, right
Right.
on Main
Okay.
Street, yeah.
So that's
Huh.
that one.
Okay,
And then the modular one.
Hmm.
That was something else. I can't, no, I knew you and I had, do you remember any of the other ones?
I have accessory residential dwelling units, the one we just talked about.
Mhm.
6B14, the one we just
Yeah.
talked about. Lot access,
What's that?
remember, we're supposed to deal with that again.
Yeah, but I don't remember what we were supposed to do, do you?
Well, I prefer just to ignore whatever they need.
I'm
They don't wanna deal with
Who's the
it.
participant? Oh, so-
hoping
Like
it's just
6 or
us,
7
yeah,
times.
must be, yeah.
What else was there, Noel?
Page 3-17 footnote 6 needs to be clarified as to what adjacent means. Adjacent
Adjacent.
shoreline district.
Oh, yeah.
Shoreline,
Yeah.
so you say shoreline.
If you said it.
Mm.
3-17. So that's, footnote. What'd you say, Olivia? Six, no, it should be a
No,
letter.
I'm sorry, that's a G. Footnote
G, yeah.
Mhm.
So primary residential uses in a commercial district must meet the dimensional requirements of the adjacent residential district. So we had an issue where somebody was looking to purchase some land
Mhm,
and the property is in shoreline commercial,
mhm.
but they wanted to use it for their personal boat building with an apartment above it. So it would be residential use.
Mhm.
So when you do shoreline commercial, when you get land in shoreline commercial and you develop it strictly for residential, you gotta go by the adjacent residential zoning district. So it's either shoreline residential 1, 2, 3, or 5, because if
Mm,
the property is within 250 feet of the water, it's gotta be shoreline zone.
mhm.
But the attorney that we were dealing with said, well, R1's behind it, so why can't we do R1? I'm like, well, because first of all, the property is within the shoreline zone, so it's gotta be designated shoreline, it can't be just residential. So that was. So that was something that came up that I said, red flag.
Yeah,
Because if, you
yeah.
know, you got attorneys questioning it,
Mhm.
so adjacent. Somehow we gotta word that so that. More or less, if it's in the, if any of the properties within the shoreline zone, it's gotta follow the adjacent shoreline residential zoning district.
Yep,
But he said behind,
Gee.
or she, well, whoever said behind, well,
Yeah,
we'll
this-
do one
well,
behind.
The lot line changed, so
right.
a portion of the lot was in shoreline residential.
Yeah, yeah.
Shoreline commercial,
Mhm.
and then a little bit up behind it was residential one, because it was out of the 250. I believe. So she's saying, why can't you follow? No, it was all in shoreline commercial,
Mhm.
and residential ones behind it,
Behind,
so.
right.
At that point, it was beyond 250, so it was designated R1, residential one.
Mhm.
And so instead of going to the adjacent residential, which abuts it, which was
Mhm.
SR3 and SR2s on the other side.
Mhm.
She wanted to do 1 acre, and they
Behind.
wanted to convey
Right.
1 acre instead of 2 or 3 acres.
Mm.
And then and then they had to have 200 feet of shore frontage. Instead of 100 in the shoreline commercial. I don't know what happened with that, 'cause it kind of fizzled out, but
Mhm.
it came before the planning board
Hmm.
for an interpretation.
I guess, to me, that's
Yeah.
the policy question is, does the town want to allow properties in the shoreline commercial district to use any adjacent residential district? Like, how do
You
you?
can, if it's within 250, it has to stay shoreline. zone.
What's adjacent mean? Doesn't adjacent mean touch? I touch you?
Yeah, well, see, it touched the back,
The
and it touched
back.
the side, and they're
Yeah.
different zones.
Right,
Right,
that's
So
where I
they
was
wanted
getting
to do the less
confused.
stringent.
Of course,
so
but-
That's
But
right,
you're
yeah.
saying it had to be the adjacent shoreline.
It does, yeah, because the
Yeah.
lot was wholly within 250 feet, so it has to follow a shoreline zoning. It
Mhm.
can't just be residential one.
Right.
But she didn't agree with
Well,
that.
it's still in shoreline
Mhm.
zoning,
Mhm.
all the allowed uses apply.
Yeah, but it's
So
the lot
the
size
dimensional
changes,
standards
yeah,
are-
it goes from 2 acres to 1 acre or 3, I can't remember what it was.
So
And
it
then
does,
instead of 100 feet, they needed 200 feet of shore frontage.
yeah.
So did it get built, or I was, or
No,
no, it didn't
No.
get, oh, okay,
I haven't heard anything more.
'Cause I'm trying to
The
think.
attorney, one
Yeah.
of the attorneys questioned it. That's
Yeah.
why.
it does seem logical that the policy choice would have been, okay, well, you're in a shoreland commercial district, we're going to allow residential use in a shoreland district, commercial district. And if you're gonna do that, have to meet the standards of the shoreline standards on,
Yeah.
around you, basically,
Right,
not
right.
the upland standards.
right.
I
Right.
mean, to me, it's no brainer, but.
Yeah.
I know, you get somebody that wants to do
But
something bad
but you
enough.
always have to like, always make things clear if
Yes.
it's not clear.
So what word didn't you like, adjacent?
I think.
Is that what your question, or
I think we need to add requirements.
Well, she
of the
questioned adjacent.
adjacent?
The nearest adjacent,
Well, you gotta have something that says if it, within 250, it's gotta be
Mhm.
shoreland residential zoning district.
Mhm.
I think anywhere, if you're in. a
No, I meant commercial, yeah,
I
if you
would-
wanna convert it to
Add that.
residential, it's gonna turn to residential for shoreline
Mhm.
zoning.
No, I would
You
just,
can't
add-
follow the law behind it, so.
No,
I think what I would probably do is just say adjacent shoreline residential district,
Yes,
Mhm.
period.
yeah,
So you're really just adding shoreline.
and that's what I have always done and always interpreted it that
Yeah.
way, but.
so we need to add
That's the first
that.
time I've ever questioned
That's an easy one.
Yep.
Ish, for now.
it. It is, it's
It's gonna get.
I mean, it's sad that you have to put
Mhm.
that, because that's an obvious thing.
Mhm.
Yep.
But if
Is it-
someone wants to build something bad enough, they're gonna try and figure out some way to
Yeah,
manipulate the system, I guess, and that's, yeah,
that's everybody.
well,
Always.
yeah.
The other things we're working on are. Solar ordinance, I have a note for how do we streamline reviews, but I think that's a larger conversation,
Have you what?
streamline reviews. I don't know. The. Rural wastewater modifications.
Yeah, that, I think that's a ordinance, that's not a land use.
Yeah.
So I think it's just, I'm just gonna forward it to town meeting.
Okay,
Mm.
or to the select board.
Yeah,
We
so
need
this-
to, like, do strike throughs and underlines.
Well, I
for it.
want you to look at it,
Okay,
because I have an old copy of 2015 that John Cunningham and Andy did.
Yep,
But of course, it went to someone and they redlined
Yeah,
everything,
I
and
remember,
made it more complicated.
yes.
Mm,
I'm asking to have the rural wastewater rebate,
Mhm.
ordinance.
mhm.
To have either the pumper or a certified person to
Mhm.
inspect the tanks instead of me, because
Mm.
lifting those lids is affecting my shoulders.
Yes, yes,
And
I
I've been
can see,
doing
yeah,
it for 20 years,
oh, yeah,
so instead of wrecking my shoulders
Yes,
fully, I'm
yes.
asking that either the pumper provide a report to the town saying they
Makes
looked at the
sense, yeah.
tank, looks
Yeah.
good. It's not rocket science what you're gonna look at,
No,
so.
but,
But I'm asking that to be punted to someone else. 'cause
Yeah.
And you
I
think
don't
that's
blame you.
easier than hiring an assistant to you?
I'm still gonna hire. a
No, but I
deputy.
mean, obviously
Yeah.
you can't get you an assistant.
Well, I've had a few, but
wait, didn't something make town meeting, not town meeting, but yesterday's?
Board of Selectmen,
Yeah, wasn't there
something about the money, does it carry over?
was something about
Or
a
the
deputy,
deputy.
something, oh,
Because
okay,
we haven't hired one yet. and
right, oh, okay,
I
okay,
was glad that, I mean, that
Okay.
should roll over automatically.
I would think
That
so, but
position's
yeah,
been
okay.
established.
okay,
The other thing I would say as a lead up to that one, besides the physical part of it, is like, that is a job that takes a bunch of your time.
It does,
That can
yes.
easily be certified by people who.
It
put them
does.
in
Yeah,
all the time.
Yeah, no, I agree,
Yeah.
I did
Yeah.
104 tanks this
Yeah.
last year.
And then the responsibility is on them,
Right,
yeah,
yeah.
make it the homeowner.
or the.
I'll show up and make
Pumper.
sure
No,
that,
the pumper.
or the pumper, yeah,
The pumper or and they
Somebody.
can hire somebody that's
Yeah.
certified through the state to inspect septic
but
tanks.
there's, yeah. Make
Is
sure
there
the
a
top's
form?
off before I get here.
Do you have a form that you wanna see them complete? I mean, can you create the template?
I don't know, I gotta talk to Andy about that, how
Okay.
yeah, I don't know if it's just something that they can send.
Cause you just don't want it to say Joe Blow, check this tank, everything looked great.
I bet we could, and I think, we've talked about this before too, but making it like, you have to get your mooring inspected. And John Lemoyne gets a report from
Yeah,
Yeah,
the inspector,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a template that we could use.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm,
So it's, to me, it's the same thing.
mhm.
All right, and then the last one, which I'm pretty sure we're not gonna work on, is the modifications to the sale of food and merchandise ordinance. Dealing with chairs and tables.
Oh, I think that was the sidewalk.
Yeah. That's not going this year.
How do we allow it? What are the issues and implications?
Well, it's just, I think, I think that needs more thought process
Mhm.
because. Like I had mentioned, I don't, the town
Mhm.
sidewalks are a public right of way.
Yes.
It's not intended for a business to profit off the town sidewalks
Mhm,
by using, the area for seating for
Mhm.
restaurants and or merchandise sales.
mhm,
I think benches, make it look classy, not
Mhm.
trashy, not,
Mhm.
cluttered.
yes, we have benches, just.
Yeah, I think that looks great.
Fine,
And
yeah.
like planters, I think
Yeah.
that was very,
Yeah.
very nice. So,
Yes.
I kind of, I spoke to a couple
But salt market, no.
members.
Yeah.
And
If you're-
the only reason we get called out is because my neighbor on the other side, who's not overly friendly. Like, anyway,
Mhm.
started
If you're
trashing
thinking
people
about-
that were eating on the picnic, oh, it's bad,
But if-
anyway, so.
If you're thinking about it from sort of a downtown economic
Mhm.
development perspective,
Mhm.
having life on the street.
Yeah,
Is it-
yeah, it is a good thing, yeah,
And so figuring out ways to allow that appropriately is
Mhm.
probably something worth.
Yeah.
Looking into. Because it's nice to be
Yeah.
able to, it's like, even though it's kind of afraid to
Mhm.
kind of walk in and around people, like you
Mhm.
can feel it when you're in.
you
a
could at
place.
least be able to get a
Yeah.
wheelchair down, I
Well-
mean, I think.
And then you
know,
can say, oh, wow, that looks really good. I wonder where they got it.
Yeah, and also, I get back to my argument about like when you have a parking problem, that's a
Mhm.
good sign.
Yes, well, yeah, oh, I agree. Yeah,
I agree too, but I just
Mhm.
think too,
For
like,
economics.
mhm,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But like, if you sell alcohol, you got a fence in the area, so then again, you're taking up the sidewalk.
Yeah, and that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying, it's like
Um,
appropriately.
like, what do you do, like, we only did takeout food, we didn't serve any, and that was mostly during COVID, but we didn't. Of course, they did have the whole alcohol thing there, but once it was over, it's like, no, you could just do takeout. We're not, there's no wait service out here, can't, buy a beer in there and then bring it up, So I guess you'd have to,
I mean, I see both sides, but.
yeah,
Like I said, and I
Mhm.
looked up that right of way, it's a public access, it's a right of way for access, it's not intended for,
Consumption.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
can,
state law too.
I can see that being like,
Mhm.
when it's not intended for table service.
right.
Right, but
So,
because
right.
when if
Right.
somebody
Chairs
trips,
to drink
I mean, who's
coffee.
liable then?
Well,
Is it
then
the town
that's-
for allowing people to
Yeah,
put without,
No, yeah,
without any type of lease
Right.
or anything?
yeah. Good
I mean,
question.
A bench,
No.
so someone's
But I
sitting
mean,
on
that's
the
opening
bench,
up a can of worms, I think.
Mhm.
so someone's sitting on the bench and their feet are out in the sidewalk and I trip over their
Mhm.
feet.
Yeah.
Who's
Who's liable?
liable?
I'm the gom, but yeah,
No, but I mean.
Yes,
that's-
but no, I hear what you're
that's a
saying.
concern.
or their dog is
Mhm.
lassoed to the bench and the dog
Mhm.
bites me when I walk by,
Mhm.
it's the same kind of
I
thing.
mean, there's all sorts of. sensitive
Yeah,
areas,
I get, yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
and I don't think, one night a week is a big,
Mhm.
it's gonna profit a lot by that. but-
No, and I think for that, there was gonna be alcohol and it was a wine dinner. I think she was doing wine dinners and I was like, well, I didn't. I was hoping I kind of saved her because she did not want our other neighbor over. There giving her hell and yelling at all the customers. So I think I reached out to her, I said, this is going on. I don't want it to be World War III out here on the streets
And then,
here.
and then you
So-
hear, well, the sidewalk on the other side is not as wide as the one on
Right,
that.
Oh,
I hear that
yes,
too.
yeah,
Well, and the
yeah,
side-
you're
the
right,
sidewalk up by Michael Boland.
right. And they had
Peter,
chairs and
That's very wide.
Yeah, well, it's like the one in front of.
in front of, we're like
theirs now,
12
but,
feet.
But like in front of Erica's new place. and-
Yeah, it's
It's
skinny,
and
yes,
Jennifer's, it's very
Right.
narrow.
Mhm.
I mean,
yeah.
I
So
heard-
who
I heard that
decides?
too,
Yeah.
it's like,
Who
well, they could do what I
decides?
want, kind of
Right,
thing.
who decides
Because
what?
Jennifer puts merchandise out.
But then you'd have to
Yes.
go outside, you'd have to go around and in the roadway to go around it. I
Mhm.
have many times.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Walking
easier.
up the site when it's busy in the
yeah,
site.
yeah.
I mean,
Well,
so
and the
it's like, when
selectmen
it's-
said too, they were pretty much the day that, what was that, in the summer, they all said, we want our sidewalks back. So I didn't, Because then she did contact me, would you like to go, and we'll figure this out, and I'm like, not with my neighbor on the other side, no. Because she comes into our restaurant, and kicks people out. I mean, it's bad. Oh, God, it's awful, still. She doesn't
But then
like people parking in front of her building and coming into the Colonel's. So
But then you
it's,
get
yeah.
plant pots that are oversized on the sidewalk.
Yeah, there's a few of the, yeah, so. Who's to say, yeah,
Oh, the town garbage cans are.
Oh, those are so out of
And
scale.
the
I
signage.
hate
And the
those stupid
signage.
things, yeah, they're huge.
I mean, like, where do you draw the line?
I know,
Right. And you've got the town benches.
hard to,
All right, well, we're not dealing with that this year.
no, let's table that, cause
So here's what I have in the week. I'm happy to stay and go over the allowed uses table with you all, if you want to do that, before we get to that decision, what I'd like to offer is the next steps for the January meeting are going to be, review Kim's list, mine and Kim's list, and bring drafts of those things that we just went over back
Mhm.
for review.
Mhm.
We need a final draft of the solar ordinance. Then we need to maybe come up with a public meeting schedule because it's
Mhm.
January and then we
Ready.
set that, but in relation
Start
to that,
warrants.
would be maybe a first
Mhm.
conversation with the planning board. Once we get the drafts done, so
Mhm.
at the next meeting is probably gonna be like, let's get organized, we'll be organized for sort of the public engagement part, whatever we're getting for time. And then the future work that we're working on is getting back to the allowed uses table. We have the subdivision ordinance that at some point
Yeah, what's the status on
really
that?
needs to
Mm.
get updated and you and I maybe,
Hmm.
I mean, we get a cut,
Did you hear back from Andy?
never, so
Hmm.
he talks to you more than me,
No, I haven't heard from him.
okay, so we need to like follow up.
I think he's busy in Bar
I was just gonna say, I think Andy's busy in Bar Harbor,
Yeah.
Can we
Yeah.
get,
he's representing one of the sides.
I think
Yeah.
maybe getting,
Mhm.
what's his name then?
John?
Yeah.
Coming in?
Nope. Isn't it, who's the other guy? John Cunningham's the guy that talked to us about roads. Isn't there another guy? God, I can't remember his name. He's a nice guy too. Is he in Ellsworth? City councilor now? I don't know.
Oh, Patrick,
Patrick.
yeah. I'm dealing with him.
Hmm.
No, come in January,
Maybe
and
not then.
February and March.
He's nice, actually.
Oh.
Stephanie and I will have a meeting that starts at 6 on Tuesday nights, because we're on warrant committee.
Okay.
So just keeping that, and it's every Tuesday night, right?
Yes, except for a few, like February break and
Right,
stuff.
so it is every Tuesday night.
But then again, we're usually done about six, well, this one's a little bit, but.
Oh, not according to Gail, she
No, she
wants
wants to go
to
2
go
hours.
longer.
Oh,
She wants
I
us to
missed
get
that
stuff
one.
done.
Oh, okay, well, I understand, yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
I
so.
I don't have a problem with
Yeah.
getting stuff done,
No, I-
but just so you
Oh,
know,
okay.
this
So we
room
may
will
have
not be
to-
available either.
And I don't think we can even come earlier, because it's Harbor Committee before us.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so we might have to switch the day or something, okay.
Starting in January?
January,
Yeah, warrant committee, when's it
He's
mid?
still gonna send me the summons. I'm gonna talk to him.
I just talked to him last night and suggested he might want to send the schedule out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay,
Okay, put that in my schedule.
that's right, because that is right around the corner,
Yeah,
Isn't that crazy?
yes.
All right, and then the other thing, and I can talk to Gail about this, but we should like, okay, I mean, I think we were gonna wrap up a lot of the drafting stuff, you know,
Mhm.
in January, and then it's just meetings, and so
Mhm.
now we need to think about what we're gonna work on, but there's also like
Mhm.
comprehensive plan happening, and so
Right,
some of the bigger
are you on that?
kind of policy
Are
related
you?
land
You
use
are?
changes.
No.
When
might
does that
be-
start? What are your days and stuff with that?
I didn't know if I should do one, I didn't know,
It started,
if it's bad.
I did.
I was at the select board meeting last night.
Yeah, I saw.
I've seen a bunch of people get appointed to it.
Yeah.
We just had an organization, meeting, so it's probably really
Hmm.
starting in January, we're gonna meet once a month,
What,
What's the
Thursdays.
Yeah, I saw
Thursdays?
that.
Yeah, Thursdays, like at 5
Once a month, Thursdays,
to start, yeah,
Mhm.
here?
yes. Or,
Oh,
there, we could always
Do
meet,
you have a full committee now?
yeah, we do,
we're waiting for Stephanie to put in her paperwork. though.
yeah, we do, we need a Hawk Quarry resident. don't
Oh,
we?
do you?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
actually do.
Oh, you do? No Rick? No,
Nope,
all right.
Yes.
Well, it's not permanent either. I mean, what is this, a couple, like year? I mean,
Once
it's,
every 10 years.
Whatever.
well, I mean, and not that that doesn't bother me. I just always feel bad the summer meetings I miss. but I guess it'll only be two,
And well,
July and
I
August.
think there's a
Well,
lot
if
of
you're
engagement,
busy.
so what's
Yeah.
gonna happen in the comp plan is that we're finishing up drafting the data sections.
Mhm.
And so that's usually like the part that everybody rolls their eyes about, because
Yeah.
it always takes so long to be like, well, what is
Mm.
this, blah, 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 so we're
Yes,
gonna try to.
yes.
Dispense with those meetings
Okay.
in the February, by, January, February timeframe.
Okay,
And then, probably it's gonna end up spilling over into March a little bit,
Okay.
but in a, sort of. I can't think of the term, but at the same time.
mhm.
Simultaneously.
Yeah, there we go.
We're gonna be doing a public, more engagement.
Okay.
So there'll be a community survey that's hopefully coming out,
Mhm.
end of January, more likely than beginning of January,
Mhm.
and then that'll be out for a while. In the meantime, we're gonna try to get a poster or something together that we can.
So
put
there's
as
no
a-
summer meeting, you wanna be
No, We're
done?
having summer meetings.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, all right, I thought you were gonna say, oh,
We
this
need
is
to-
like a 3-month thing.
No, the goal is to finish
Okay.
the plan
Okay,
by this time next year.
okay, all right,
That's a.
that's not, okay.
There's 2 meetings in the summer, maybe.
I know, that's what I feel bad, cause I missed
But there'll be-
LUZO, I made,
there'll be
con-
meetings.
yeah. that's fine, I mean.
We
Okay,
have to have those, like, we need to go to Summer Residents Association,
Yeah.
there's like a lot of engagement,
okay, I'll fill the
and then maybe
paper.
we'll. Start slogging in the early fall on goals and
Okay.
strategies and stuff,
Okay,
maybe some before that.
Hmm.
I mean, a year from now, we'll have a full draft. The goal is to
The
have a full
goal.
draft.
okay. All right, yeah.
I shake my head, but actually do wanna try it, I think it would be
It'd
awesome.
be nice to have
Yeah.
a goal, like you said, anyway, okay.
If we could do it. That would be great,
Mhm.
but I don't think we should shortchange the
Product.
end part, the last third of the
Mhm.
comp plan process
Mhm.
always gets shortchanged, and that's
Mhm.
literally the most important part when you talk about, okay,
Strategies, the goals.
here's what we really wanna
Mhm.
do. Here's all the ideas of things that we wanna do, there's gonna be a huge list.
Yeah.
And then we need to say, all right, which ones can we actually do?
Right.
And
Okay.
then who's gonna do
Then you
that?
allocate it, you have
Okay.
planning
And then,
board.
so you don't say like, what happened to the planning board is you have like
Mhm.
70 things that you're supposed to do, all of them are now.
Mhm.
So it's
Mhm.
really, and every town department or committee has those things too, you can really only do
So much,
like
yeah,
5.
right,
So what are the 5 things you're gonna do?
Yeah.
And then you can always go
Okay.
back and revisit,
okay.
and so that implementation
Mhm.
phase always gets shortchanged, because everybody's like, spent
We're done,
all that time just
Mhm.
like working through edits on tables of,
Mhm.
of data, when it really
Okay.
doesn't matter. I mean,
Okay.
it matters,
right, but
That's
That's
not the
not why-
important to me.
that's not, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it does matter.
Yes,
Like
yes,
it's, some of it will be really interesting, but it
Mhm.
doesn't matter like every little detail.
Mhm.
So hopefully we'll get past that
Mhm.
sooner than later.
Mhm. Okay.
I think we'll struggle through some of that.
Mhm. How many people, what are you looking for a group? I mean, how many people are you looking for? I mean,
Now we have 10,
okay,
so we could
Who's on the
go,
board, can you tell us?
yes, sort of.
Mhm.
Tracy,
yeah, Katrina,
Trina, now Stephanie,
yep, Stephanie apparently, yeah,
Gail Marshall,
Gail,
okay.
Megan Bailey,
Mhm.
we have,
Mike Olson, got
Mike
approved.
Olson and Vic,
I was gonna say
Vince
two.
Lawrence just got on the committee, thanks Kathy Miller,
Mhm.
and also Kathy Miller.
Kathy Miller, yep,
We have,
There's only one guy there, right?
no guys, it was just me,
Oh, yeah, so now we have
Mm.
2.
2 guys. Yeah.
it's many of the same people that do all the, I mean, not do all these,
Heather,
committees.
Jones,
Heather,
Yeah.
yeah,
who else? Am I
Hey,
missing
she
someone?
called Cory.
oh, yeah, and Heather's Hall Quarry now,
Yep, she's
yeah,
a transplant.
yeah.
She's really the other part.
Shit. Yeah.
Did we get anyone from Seal Harbor?
Vince Lawrence,
Oh,
Oh, that's like, yes.
how about Pretty Marsh, Indian Point,
I feel like we're missing Pretty Marsh. That might be the only one we have left.
okay,
We have Sound,
Mm-hmm.
yep,
my favorite committee.
yeah,
Yeah, it's an awesome committee,
that's good,
But technically so.
yes, true.
I
But we
got
represent-
harassed because I didn't know where I live. I'm like, no, my house is actually in so-and-so. They're like, you don't know where you live. I'm like,
Oh, geez,
yes, I do.
It's a good group.
good.
Very
I think-
diverse.
Well, that's what I was saying, diverse,
I
yeah.
think it is, I mean, but last time was it's a powerhouse group of women there,
Mhm.
I probably shouldn't have even been at that meeting.
Well, hey. You have 3 daughters of what you are used to,
Yeah.
all that female
Yeah, just keep
energy.
my mouth shut.
Let's see, you are already, yeah, you're good,
But yeah, now we have Vince and Mike,
yeah.
so that'll be interesting
Mhm.
voices, which
Yeah.
is good. I tried to get Chris Moore to join, but he was too busy.
Chris is busy.
He's got littles,
I told.
I remember those days,
Yeah, but you have to do the meetings at, 2 o'clock in the
that's
afternoon.
true, he's in bed by, yeah,
Yeah, he's in bed by now.
yeah, I'm sure, yeah.
I thought I was just taking one shot, but I thought he would have been good.
He would have been, he is good when he, I notice when he comes to meet, you know, like everyone,
does his homework.
something comes up, yeah, he knows what he's,
It makes dinner conversations really interesting.
oh, I'm sure, yeah.
Sure.
The good thing is Corinne's not from here, so she probably lets a lot of it just, I don't
Oh,
know what he's talking about.
Willie, he's still a resident of the town of Mount Desert.
Mhm.
Why does he?
But he's-
He could have to Zoom.
We
I,
have,
I think
That's-
I personally think it's a bad idea to have 2 people that sleep under the same roof on the same
Well,
committee.
That's,
Granted, we don't sleep under the same roof anymore,
true, yeah,
because he has,
Yeah, but look at the knowledge he has in the
I was gonna
history of the
say.
town.
I think he's been in touch with
Yeah.
Suzanne.
he talked to Courtney. Yes,
Okay,
and there is a history section, which we're
Oh.
probably just
The
gonna.
historic section.
I was gonna
with
say,
some edits
Katrina,
that
he
we have
should
right now,
definitely
and
be
then if
part
there's
of it.
stuff
He would be
provides
good.
Yeah, he can zoom in,
My feeling about the history section is
Mhm.
like, I would, in a comprehensive plan, and this is,
Mhm.
I'm a history guy, like a history minor and all that stuff, so I love it. But the ideal thing for a comp plan would just be to say like, hey, the town
We have
of Missouri
history.
was founded on it.
yeah,
Here's
yeah,
a-
yeah,
Here's a link to this awesome document,
yeah, oh, that's a good
Here,
idea,
so
go
read it.
here if you
and
want it.
then these are all the historical resources that we need to be aware of, and
Mm-hmm.
then identify, are there any threats to those resources that we need to think about?
mhm.
That is
Mhm.
it. So like,
Mhm.
rather than write a dissertation or a book on the history of Mount Desert, like, I
Mhm.
just assume cut most of that out.
Mhm.
So
Sorry.
that's
Yeah.
not to offend anybody.
No,
No.
no offense to me at all.
Mhm.
I just don't think,
Wealth of knowledge, that kid.
yeah, I
Mhm.
just think it. is
That's
a
what he
better-
made.
I think the one
That's
thing
what
we
he
don't,
is, yeah,
yeah, that's what he does, but
Yeah.
the one thing you don't wanna do with history is repeat it if it's bad. You know,
I just
No,
want it to
definitely
be, here's the
a
paragraph,
separate
yeah.
go
link.
to this place,
Mhm,
and you can find all the history you want.
Mhm.
mhm.
We don't need to. The same with like, there's a lot of population data tables that go all the way back to like I think even some of our drafts do that, like the 1800s, and like,
Mhm.
nobody cares
No,
that there was 1,500 people in the 1800s.
No.
Well, all you need to do is like pick a 20-year block and say, this is what's happening,
Mhm.
it's a trend.
it's, nothing's gonna be like it was back in 18, whatever,
Yeah.
Yeah.
not
I
even
just-
close.
So what we're trying to do is find the value, I always ask the
Mhm.
so what, like, we have all this data, but so what?
Yeah.
Like, what is it telling us,
Mhm.
and is it that
Mhm.
important to where we are right now?
If you have links in a comprehensive plan, is there a way to measure if people actually click on those links once the plan has been published?
I don't know, it depends on it,
Because,
Depends, yeah,
it's lovely to put them there and it's really nice, but if no one ever goes there, why bother?
well, I would argue then, there's no way to measure if anybody actually reads the comprehensive
Correct.
plan to begin with.
well, that's
So
true,
it's not that part that
Mhm.
is the important part, it's the stuff we're gonna do up
Yeah.
front, that's like, this is your,
Mhm.
5 to 10 year directives.
Yes,
Here's the,
Mhm.
we're going here, we've already
Mhm.
written our vision statement, here's how we're gonna get there.
Mhm.
There's a bunch of different ways, so how are we gonna do it? Who's gonna work on it,
mhm.
much less the,
Mhm.
Suzanne and I were just talking about this tonight about the housing data. She's been
Mm.
working on that chapter. And like, the state has a housing
Mhm.
stuff, and so my thing is, we could do a really good analysis on it. And we're also getting an analysis on some housing stuff for like the whole island and the Acadia region.
Mhm.
And so now the challenge is gonna be like, whose data do we use, and do we have to make
Mm.
sure like it's all the same?
right,
But it is never the same, because sometimes you're using like. The
Mhm.
community survey, American Community Survey, which is a 5-year estimate that gets updated every, so the
Mhm.
2023 just came out,
yeah,
but it's like, that's a 5-year block.
mhm,
And so, yeah, is the 2022 stuff just as good?
mhm,
Or do we use the 2020 census, which is really the most accurate,
mhm. Mm,
but it's now, you know, by the time we're done.
2025.
It'll be 10 years old.
It'll
Yeah.
be, yeah. Hmm. Yeah,
Right.
I guess.
So.
Hmm.
It's just a snapshot, like, that's why I say you don't, it's like a painting of your
Mhm.
town.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This is
Mhm.
what's happening
Hmm.
in this moment in time.
Right,
Here's some trends that we need to think about, and now we have to start talking about what we're gonna do about it.
well, because actually, there's a pretty big difference, Northeast Harbor just in 5 years.
In what way?
Well, I think even more houses have been sold, you know, and however you fall, how you feel about it. There's,
Yeah,
have been sold to rental or, you know, summer folks for their extended family or whatever. I think.
sure. Yeah, housing data is
Mhm.
probably the more dynamic, and then like
Mhm.
economy, there's the more
Mhm.
dynamic
Mhm.
changes. It's interesting, some of it's really interesting,
Mm, mm,
but it's more about the question, like, what does this mean for you? How do you,
Mhm.
you know?
Well, when we just drove through Camden, I was like, wow, look at I mean, it was alive, but I was thinking, you could go an hour, you could commute an hour and you could work in Portland. You could work
Yeah.
either
Yeah.
some, where the island, it's not a dead end, but I
It
mean,
is.
this
It
is.
is.
Whereas whereas Camden, you can work in so many different,
Yeah.
so you can still have neighborhoods, cause you're places you can work and et cetera,
Well, yeah,
are so expanded compared to here.
close to Rockland, which is
Yeah.
kind of a supportive industry.
Exactly, yeah, cause I was like, look how alive this is, and I know a lot of times. Like in Warrant, we compare, you know, money, whatever, with Camden. But I was like, wow, we're really worlds away
Well, they're,
as far as year-round,
Viability.
yeah,
yeah, I
but.
don't think you can compare this village to like the downtown of Camden. for
No,
example.
no, we were talking like school system, you know, and warrant committee, but I was like, but it is you know, it's alive, but. Yeah, you could be a doctor that works at Maine Med, but live in Camden, you know, there's so much more you can
Augusta.
draw from.
Yeah.
Yeah, Augusta,
Drive
and
to
people
Bangor.
do
Yeah.
work in Bangor from here, but it's just not the.
Yeah, I think about that, like, even on an island scale,
Mhm.
and like. And it'll be interesting to talk about it in the comp plan, like, how do we, you know, just thinking about our economy,
Mhm.
you know, like, right now. Like, what your economy is dominated by a certain industry that is by its nature seasonal.
Seasonal, right,
And so the only way to get it in another way is to start to think about,
Mhm.
like, we need to draw in some more
business, I mean,
businesses
yeah,
that are year round.
but then where do you, I shouldn't say where do you put them, but. The lab takes up a lot of space, you know, we have a lot of the park, I mean, where do you put another huge that could employ that many people?
But I think that's why,
86% of the island is park.
Right, well, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying, so,
but I think we have to think about the economy on an island scale, not a town scale anymore.
yes,
So
okay,
what
yeah,
role does Tremont play
Right,
in the
yes.
island economy?
Yeah.
It's, you know, all right, well,
Mhm.
we're all driving to,
well, getting on and off the
Harbor.
island's a nightmare, like.
yeah,
We were looking at a house right across the Trenton Bridge, right on the water, it's beautiful, but I was like, not going over that bridge. And being stuck in traffic, you know, an
yes,
hour every
but
day,
we also
so,
have, as an island, we
Yeah.
also have a pretty important, you know. Resources in
Mhm.
some of these like bio.
yeah, yeah,
Companies, the lab, the
Yeah.
bio lab, like, we also have a great healthcare system now, when you
Mhm.
compare it to like Bangor, which is
Yeah.
like bankrupt and like
Yeah.
gonna eventually draw
Yeah.
all of our money into.
Right,
To save
right.
them, I think, but.
Yeah.
You know,
but what else can
So
you
there's things
fit
to draw.
here that,
or how do we, and even think about the tourist economy, like, how do we say, not that we want like all the people here,
Mhm.
all
right,
12 months out of the year, but
Mhm.
couldn't. Like, we say this in Southwest Harbor all the time, it's like, it's easy to get people here in August.
yes,
So we shouldn't be working too hard at that, like, what we should be working on is saying, how do we get a little tourism in December?
I think
in
you need the
January,
park open
February?
year round, I hate to say, I
Well,
think,
the park is open,
well, I mean.
we just
yeah,
don't market it, and then
Yeah.
you know, people need to stay somewhere,
Yeah,
but
That's
there's,
the problem is.
yeah,
but there's a crap load of Airbnbs around.
yeah,
And I don't see I mean, half of them they're not, a lot of them aren't
Mhm.
just seasonal structures, they're like.
right, there you
okay,
go.
Well, you all are open at the Colonels, at the suites year round.
Yeah, I don't think they are this year, but they're just getting older and don't wanna do, but I mean,
Right.
yeah, and actually, there's a couple houses in Hall Quarry. That are Airbnb in there,
Right.
actually have people in them on and off all winter,
But
but
you
yeah.
don't need
Mm.
like all of the businesses open all the
No.
time. But you do need to have things to
few
do,
more.
and then like
Yes.
nice places to stay, so
Yeah.
I think about Southwest Harbor Lines.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it's the same thing with over here, like when
You have a
Now you
restaurant
hear-
though.
Yeah.
we have, right now, we have Next Level. That's
Oh,
open all
that's
the
it.
time.
Yeah.
And if we had,
Mhm.
sometimes Harbor Table is open,
Yeah, right.
Red
But
Sky's on a break?
what was that?
Is Red Sky on a break?
Yep,
Mhm.
but like right now, there's no place to eat lunch at Southwest Harbor, except
Mhm.
Little Notch 3 days a week.
And the
One
gas
Bar
station-
Harbor's about to go down
gas
because
station.
Side Street will be closed for if you want dog and pony. I guess
Yeah.
the whale, but sometimes they all close for a month or two.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
just think, you know.
That's for cleaning.
Yeah,
but if
all
we could
that,
do-
yeah.
We could do a little bit
But the
better.
well
job.
stayed open last year.
Did it say the whole?
I thought it did, maybe it didn't, but I thought it stayed open.
No, they went to Hawaii for, I think, a
Oh.
month or two, yeah.
They were
So-
open during the Christmas week last year.
Yes, yes.
The
And
whale,
Side Street
Yeah.
is, oh, McKay's is open, but till Christmas, yeah, so,
everybody closes that.
yeah, for a few
Blaze
months.
will be open, I mean, there's
Yeah.
places.
Yeah, Leary's.
They
They
work
usually-
them out, right? They talk to each other.
I think they tried to, yeah,
Yeah, but like over here, there are, I'm
Yeah.
sure, in Mount Desert,
Mhm.
plenty of Airbnbs that have the capacity to be open all the time.
Mhm.
If you are attracting
Mhm.
people here, you gotta have like, okay, well,
Mhm.
come, you can still hike the park when it's gray and cold,
Right,
just
Yeah.
avoid the ice.
yeah.
And then, what are you gonna do when you get here, though?
right.
nothing, Yeah,
Please stop in Ellsworth to get your groceries.
Yeah,
yeah,
would be great to have a place for lunch or
Mhm.
whatever, I don't know,
Mhm.
I have lots of thoughts.
Yeah.
But also, like, you can't begrudge closing and.
No,
well, it's hard to stay open if someone wants just a cup, that's all you see, the cup of coffee all
Absolutely,
day.
yeah.
It's so
It's-
hard
it's
to,
the heat,
it's, yeah, the heat, the electric,
Clientele's not there.
it's not, right,
So you need the people,
you need people, oh, yeah, yeah.
we need offices.
I do think Astiku redoing, I think that is gonna be for business and restaurant in
I'm
town,
pretty
will help.
excited to see how that
Yeah.
comes. I'm-
Well, I mean, nobody eats that where they stay 3 meals a day. I mean, you know, that usually
they go out.
they go out, yeah, and we don't have many, I mean, what do we have left? The Kimball Terrace now, is that all we have for hotel? We don't have any inns or anything, so, yeah, so,
Oh, Harborside.
oh, yeah, so,
Is that,
Harborside Inn?
Yeah.
It's only in the summer.
yeah,
where's the Harborside Inn again?
Right here.
So
Uh,
it's
yeah.
across the street from 47 Harborside. As you go out of town.
yeah,
It's gonna be on your left, on the shop corner.
so.
Forget about
I
that.
do think, well, they open in time, I guess, they're like, I got a ways to go, but what do I know?
Yeah, so that'll be fun, planning conversations.
Mhm. Mm,
I mean, I'm curious, like, how do we,
mhm, mhm.
what do we want? What do we wanna be?
Is Astiku aiming for this summer? Do you know? I think they are.
This
I
summer?
don't think so. no.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, someone told me that and then I drove by, I'm like,
I
oh,
heard
damn.
Labor Day, but I don't even know if that's.
If that, I was like, they don't even have some buildings built yet.
I had a lease for some of the contractors
Mhm.
who were certain that they had signed a contract and then that contract was pulled. So
Oh,
I had
yeah.
a winter rental
Mm,
for 5 guys and I thought, good, 5 guys, that's great to have in town for the winter.
yeah,
Yeah,
and then it.
You know, that's beer and cigarettes. and
Oh, yeah, yeah,
things
yeah.
and Lottery tickets and
Yeah.
gas,
Yep,
and then their contract got pulled. And they were like, I'm so sorry, we can't
Oh.
do this.
I wonder,
Wow.
were they behind or didn't?
I don't know why.
are those, structures they're bringing in, are they like modular too? I thought, saw a couple on the road the other day, I was like, wow.
I think they're up in the, across from, where that golf course used to be, or the.
Oh, in Trenton?
The drive. I think
Oh.
they're- I think those are.
They're
pieces
sitting up there?
There, I think,
Oh, really?
I think.
Chad got them to put
Oh.
some storage for up there. He must be doing something.
Interesting.
Yeah, they've got 2, I think Steve set up, I went there today,
That's
so I'm
really
gonna go
interesting.
look.
Oh, okay, yeah,
11 of the sewer lines, but
yeah,
they caved in because of the rain, so I have to get back tomorrow, but
correct.
2 of the cottages
Mhm.
are up. I mean, they're there,
they're
but
there,
they're
yeah.
not sided or anything.
Okay, but they're in-
Location.
Yeah,
And how many total cottages will there be?
15.
I was gonna say, I
Holy
thought it was
moly.
quite a few, I remember, yeah.
That's like a little city.
But they're
Plus-
kind of like
Call it-
staggered a little bit.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
they already did.
yeah.
And then they got 1 8-unit, 1 9-unit.
Stuff recorded.
Right, the what's in the front, yeah, oh, Mhm.
Gonna adjourn, you gotta.
Adjourn, oh, meeting
Adjourn.
adjourned.